All right, welcome back to the latest episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Fern and I are here giving a little bit of an introduction to the episode. Don't mind, there's chaos going on at CrossFit Rife right now. Cassidy,
who's been on the podcast, is in the background doing some painting, which is interesting because a lot of people say that Cassidy and I are like a married couple, and we operate much better than that in many scenarios because my wife would never come in here. No, actually she would. I'm joking. But painting, so I tell you what, my wife and I don't do to get well together is projects like this. Like, we don't do projects together. It doesn't go well.
I don't think there's any couple out there that can. I mean, when Roz and I fight, it's almost always like we're trying to do something in the house. We're trying to move something. You know, it's not a good look for a married couple. But I feel like there's some sort of Karate Kid type thing happening. Like, you're the Miyagi and you're teaching
wax
him to
on,
paint.
wax off.
Yeah, paint on. Like,
listen, this up and down, guys. This attention to detail on the paint here is actually how you get good at teaching the snatch.
Yeah, and like after, I don't get it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I see hip extension.
Yeah, one day you will. After you finish this, you're just much better at seeing triple extension. It works.
So on today's episode, we have Brian Stites, and I did the interview, and I think it was really incredible. I think the guy got a lot of hate out there on the interwebs. I think a lot of people just jumped on the bandwagon of hating on this dude, but it was really insightful to see that he cares, he's passionate about CrossFit. I think, speaking of marriages, you text your wife or you email, and it can get misconstrued.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily fair for us to internet blast anybody. Like, we don't know the full context. We don't know what the intent was. We don't know how this person actually feels. We just know that there was some interaction which was blown, right onto, the Facebook world where all positive things happen.
Exactly.
And I think this is cool because it's an opportunity for him to deep dive in it and explain in depth, like, how he actually feels, which is the beauty of all this stuff. It's hard to express that in one post in Facebook, but this long form allows for actually people to express their thoughts, their feelings, their background, and really what it is that they're trying to convey to the world. So I'm happy that you got to do it. I'm happy that we got to give them the platform to talk about this because, this is definitely one of those things where, like, you could go down in history as like that guy, which is not fair.
And I think he's been on a lot of podcasts recently for that reason. I think this is the first one that kind of gave him that opportunity to speak candidly and publicly. And I hope that everyone will stay tuned towards the end, because at the end, he really opens up. There are some tears shed. And I think it's really insightful into the type of person he is. And, not to let just a quick post on social media or Facebook influence how you feel about him. But before we get to that, Fern, you have a big day coming this weekend.
I do have a big day, and I was kind of use this podcast as like a good example of that, which is like, we all make mistakes, right? And I think he would largely consider like there are some mistakes in there, and like, you make mistakes in marriages, and you make mistakes in partnerships, and you make mistakes, when you communicate with people, and it's the same here. And if you're trying to make up for a mistake, and you want to do something good for your spouse or somebody else, maybe I want to buy Cassidy a Groove Life ring.
You should. I think it's time you put a ring on it.
I'll put a ring on it. I'm going to put a ring on Cassidy's hand to cherish our relationship forever. But no, so like, again, like, I'm thinking about getting a new one and maybe matching ones for my wife and I, because our anniversary is on the 11th. It's on Veterans Day. So.
Well, that's unique. Did you do that on purpose? Well, Veterans Day doesn't always.
We did get married on purpose. Yes, everything about our marriage was intentional.
So you did get married on purpose, which is a good thing. Now, you say you're going to get her a new Groove Life ring. What type of ring does she wear typically? Does she wear a metal ring?
She used to wear a metal ring, but now she has a different one. But I'm thinking about just getting potentially matching ones for our anniversary.
Oh, what colors would you go with?
I don't know. I have this white one. I've been a fan of white for a couple of years, and I really dig this one. But maybe I'll get creative and maybe I'll do pink. I don't know.
Ooh, pink for the couple. After last episode where we talked about Groove Life, and you were telling, all the military stories and the reason those rings are important. A lot of people hit us up and they're like, hey, yeah, I know somebody, like Fern was saying, that lost their finger wearing a metal ring, and it's really important to wear these silicone rings that stretch but ultimately break if you need to. So we got a lot of positive feedback on that, and Jess is still active duty.
Yeah, she's still active duty, but more importantly, like the number of people that I know in the gym that leave their hardware here, like their wedding rings, engagement rings at the gym, because they don't want to wear them during a workout, like it's at least once a week, right? But then everybody that has like any of these Groove Lives, because it's silicone and it's comfortable and I can grab a barbell and not have to worry about my hand and stuff like that, they don't lose theirs because they can just leave it on for the workout.
Well, and the positive for that is even should you take it off and lose it, it's guaranteed for life.
Yep,
They
guarantee for life.
will literally send you a new ring if you lose it. So whether you're celebrating an anniversary this weekend or you just want to replace your metal ring or your lesser quality silicone ring, check out Groove Life. And you can use the code BEST HOUR for 18% off your order. So Fern, you're going to use that code? I mean, it's a little late, isn't it? I mean, we're talking, you got to get that order in.
It's never too late. Overnight shipping, dude. We're good.
I feel like you live your life and your relationship with overnight shipping.
The UPS guy probably thinks so.
He's going to get a little box. It's going to be addressed to you. He's going to be like, oh, man, this is last minute, isn't it? But yeah, you should.
Important. Say it's emergency.
So you're going to get one for you, one for Jess, and one for Cassidy?
Yep. Maybe I'll have all three match for us.
Hey, open relationship. It's
That's
the way
right.
to go these days. It's
That's
the way to
cool.
go. So yeah, check out Groove Life. Use the code BEST HOUR, 18% off. We guarantee you're going to like it. And it's completely replaceable. If you should lose it, if it should break, they'll take good care of you. Great customer service over there. Check out Groove Life, groovelife.com. But Fern, I'm really excited to present this interview because I think, I went into this interview and I was like, okay, this is going to be, we're going to headbutt, we're going to argue. And he was just really genuine. And I'm very happy that we can give him this platform. I hope people will share this and show the world that he's not this bad dude that he's been made out to be on social media.
Yeah. So guys, take a listen, remove the judgment, practice a little empathy, because at the end of the day, we're all going to make mistakes and we're going to want people to give us the same courtesy.
All right. Welcome back to Best Hour of Their Day. We have a special guest. His name is Brian Stites. Brian, welcome.
Well, thank you. Hi.
So Brian is the current owner of the affiliate CrossFit On Track, and you're based out of Kansas City, correct?
Yep. South part of Kansas, Olathe.
What was the name of that town?
Like a little suburb. Olathe.
Olathe in Kansas. Well, actually, is it Missouri, right?
It's Kansas. It's Kansas.
So because Kansas City lies on that line where it's like Missouri, but it's Kansas. And we actually just drove through it on the move from Florida to Colorado, and we couldn't figure out where we were.
Yeah, no, Kansas City has a Kansas City side and a Missouri side. We are firmly entrenched on the Kansas side.
All right, really cool. So, hey, if you listen to this show and you follow kind of the CrossFit news, you might have heard of Brian. You've become kind of famous or infamous. I'm not exactly sure. So, let's talk about it, and let's try to place it in chronological order because I think there's a lot of uncertainty of what happened. Let's let this episode kind of clear the rumors, clear the innuendos, and let Brian tell his story. And let's have an open dialogue about it. Brian and I spoke briefly before we hit record and said, hey, we might disagree on some things, but that's cool. We're open-minded people. We can discuss it. So Brian, at this point, everybody, maybe not everyone, but if they're unknown, you basically posted something in Facebook. You hear back from Coach Glassman a couple weeks later that he's taking away your affiliate. But I think a lot happened prior to that people are unsure and uneducated about. So if you don't mind, kind of lay out what happened.
Sure. So the message in question on Facebook was in a closed affiliate owner group. It's called the affiliate owners group, but there are other people in there who are not just affiliate owners. And sort of one night I was just kind of thinking about direction that CrossFit's going with their health and wellness initiative and sort of the things that had gotten me excited initially about CrossFit. In particular, I came in right at 2012, which is kind of when the build around the games was starting to be a lot bigger, and the push was more towards it being a competitive sport. And so that's kind of what really got me excited about it. We were heavily invested in that for years and years and years. And then there was kind of this change back in CrossFit, or let's just say change away from it being this competitive sport to it being more of the health and wellness initiative, sort of a renaissance back to that idea. and so this one night in particular, I'm sort of posting my feelings about that change, that I kind of feel lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I spent 6-7 years doing one thing, and then I feel like CrossFit, for me, I felt like CrossFit was changing its direction. People have since then explained that no, CrossFit was always a health and wellness initiative, and I get that, and I respect that, and I think CrossFit should be that. I mean, that's awesome, but it's not what I initially came in for. I got excited about the sport of fitness, and now I'm looking back, and I'm having this sort of existential crisis. Arm & Hammer said that, and I thought it was kind of the perfect way to describe it. Sort of an existential moment. What have I been doing? With my folks in my gym, and is it the right thing for my folks in the gym that we had been doing things that way and had been so successful competitively for the area that we're in, for sure. And now that we're on the health and wellness side, am I still doing the right things, or am I still the mentality of being a compete first sort of guy? Reconcile all of those things in my gym, and I message off saying, I'm disillusioned with the whole thing, because I don't feel like the communication was very good to the affiliate owners. I feel like a lot of times CrossFit HQ makes edicts, and then that's the end of the communication. And when I have questions, comments, concerns, and none of them ever got addressed. But at the very beginning of the email, I say, I'm pro health and wellness. I think, maybe it's a change for the better. I have no issue with that. I feel like I'm just lost and confused about what's going on. And I get to the end of the message, and I say, so I need help. Am I still attached to CrossFit? Am I still doing CrossFit? Like, what's my identity in CrossFit? And I asked the other affiliate owners, who I thought that's what this group is populated by. I asked the other affiliate owners for help, for clarification, just kind of understanding where I was at, because I hadn't had that communication with a lot of other people in an open forum like that. So that was the initial email. And across the course of the message itself, some sort of rambling and ranting, like, I'm pissed that I was doing this, and that they say now it's not important. And I'm kind of pissed about the open, and like how it comes up every year, and they say, this is what fitness is, and here's your test for fitness. And it's like, this is not what wellness is for my people. This is what the sport of fitness was doing. And then you take 2019, the workout that was thrusters and pull-ups at the end of the year, right? Thrusters and chest to bar. And it was the first time I had ever not programmed an open workout for my gym, because it was such a bad idea. It was one of those things, like, I was like, you're going to get hurt doing this. I've had athletes try desperately to do X number of chest to bar pull-ups and with, not rhabdo, but something akin to that the next day. And I thought, this actually isn't healthy. They're saying that this is a health and wellness initiative, but this is not this. I wouldn't be preparing somebody for that type of test, a test of fitness, if I was concerned mostly about their health and wellness. And I had these athletes who would gnaw their arms off to try to successfully accomplish that test. And I said, that's not a good idea. And so it was one of those times where I felt like what they're telling us fitness is, and what they're saying that CrossFit is about, the health and wellness side, these things don't feel compatible. They don't feel that. And so anyway, long story short, and so I make against CrossFit in that regard. I say, there are other methods out there. Should I have been exploring those things? If my members' goals are just to get strong, and this is, there's backstory behind this. When I took my L1 certification originally, the approach to teaching it was very, very dogmatic. I remember sitting in this class, and I have it in my notes, and I asked, what about traditional strength programs like the Wendler 5-3-1 or a 5x5 or something like that are really well established strength programs? And the guy who was up in the front, and I love him to death, his name is Russell, said, no, there is no place for that. You only need to do CrossFit the way we are telling you to do it right now. That will satisfy all of your strength concerns, period. It was a very dogmatic approach. And I asked about programming strategies, and he said, no, it is singlet, couplet, triplet, rest day. That is all you need. That is sufficient, period. And so literally I came out of that meeting being like, there is one way to do CrossFit. And I didn't really agree with that. Now, in subsequent conversations, I've been talking to other people about how they program in their boxes, and strength biases and cardio biases and all kinds of different programs that they run kind of in parallel to the other CrossFit stuff. And I think we all kind of agree that, CrossFit is just making sure you're hitting all the possible domains of fitness kind of at the same time. But again, at the time I did my L1 certification, it was this very dogmatic, here is exactly what it is. You don't need anything else. And that is the end of the discussion.
So Brian, let me stop you for a second. Let's talk about a couple of things. Okay. Great backstory. So for one, I couldn't have this podcast without correcting you on the fact that it's not actually a level 1 certification. It's a certificate course. So just for the record, if anyone's listening, your level 1 is not a certification. Your level 3 is. So
okay.
Neither here nor there, just giving you that. But I want to talk about two things. I want to tell people that are listening, if you're unsure what Brian's talking about, just Google his name. I'm sure it'll come up there. But basically, it was a long post. I'm sure there are some screenshots of it, just so the listeners have some reference. And I will say, in fairness to you, I read through it a couple times. I can see why people think it's bashing CrossFit, but you were kind of posing a question. For the record, you weren't being just a complete disrespectful asshole about it. You're an affiliate owner, and you're putting it out there to other affiliate owners and coaches in that group, and just kind of trying to start a conversation when it kind of spiraled out of control. But my first question to you is, was there an email prior to that also went to Coach Glassman? Because I think you kept saying email versus Facebook post. So just for the chronological order of it, what happened first?
Okay, so I love this part because I don't think it got covered very well in Arm & Hammer's discussion. So 14 months ago, I had emailed affiliate support. This was right as they were announcing the end of regionals. They had not yet created a decent plan for how people were qualifying for the games going forward, what the competitive future of CrossFit was. It was just this: we're done with regionals. We're terminating all of our not at that point. I don't know that they were terminating their social media staff, but they were done with their media staff at that point. And so there was this huge change that had happened, and there was like no warning about it, right? It was just dropped in our laps all of a sudden. And I was not happy about that, because a big part of what I enjoyed doing and what we worked towards in our gym a lot of the times was trying to create teams in particular, not just individuals, because I think there's a big difference between what goes on when you're training for big events as a team versus individual. They're two very different things. And we was that kind of enjoyed the process. That was a big part of what we did. Part of our business model, in fact. We let other gyms kind of take care of more of the health and wellness stuff and do whatever they wanted to do. And what we kind of liked doing was picking up the athletes that wanted to learn more of the competitive sport. And we would have them in. We had this huge environment for them. So now that's gone, right? And there's no warning, no advance, anything. This is 14 months ago, before they had talked about sanctionals. And the response, and no questions were really being answered about how we came to that conclusion, what the process was going to look like going forward. It was all very, very nebulous. And so what I say in this email is if I had known that was the case, I might not have renewed my affiliate, because being a CrossFit affiliate is like, it's so, I'm especially for me, so connected to the competitive sport of CrossFit and the regional stuff and all that. I don't know that I would have necessarily re-affiliated at that point. I might have just done what a lot of people were doing at that point, which was rebranding to reach out to a larger audience. Because at that point, CrossFit was still, I mean, and in a lot of ways still is, its own pariah. You have folks who understand the health and wellness side of it, but you have a lot of folks who see it as the dangerous sport of CrossFit, right? So sometimes it helps, and sometimes it doesn't help when the message is kind of mixed like that out in the public. And I don't know if that's been well addressed. So anyway, I don't know that I necessarily would have. But what I said after that in that email is, I don't like that there's so little communication about this. It's really frustrating that this would come down. You're not really asking us for, like, you're not asking us for our opinions like our opinions matter. And when we're voicing our opinions, it doesn't seem like they matter because we're not getting responses. And that gives me some frustration about, like, what's happening on a managerial level. Like, that's frustrating. And I feel like the only way to voice my opinion, as with most consumers, nobody listens to the comment cards. What they listen to is up trends and down trends in sales. I feel like the only way as a consumer of this brand, which is kind of how I feel as an affiliate owner in a lot of ways. I'm buying the affiliate right, and then kind of, so I feel like a customer of CrossFit in a lot of ways, but not a customer of CrossFit. Also, there's the ambassador of CrossFit, and then there's the, you're not really a franchise, you're an affiliate. It's a weird interaction, I would say. But anyway, I don't feel particularly heard or respected as somebody who is trying to consume the CrossFit brand. If I was a customer, if I was a member of the gym, I would feel like, I don't have confidence in the execution of the direction. Anyway, so I say that. And what I asked for specifically 14 months ago was, it's actually longer than that now, but what are my options for if I were to cancel my affiliate, getting a refund on the time remaining on it? Because I feel like this is a bait and switch. I feel like you kind of pulled the rug out from underneath me. So, like, would I get refunded that money? Is that not what happens? Do I just wait the affiliate out, or what's that process look like? I asked that question. That was my question. And it wasn't, I want you to pull my affiliate right now. I said I probably wouldn't have re-upped it, but I'd like to know my options moving forward for, if I were to cancel, and would I get a refund if I did. 14 months ago, didn't get a response for over a year, which adds fuel to the pain of feeling not heard as an affiliate owner. Here I am saying expressly to support, what are my options? I am frustrated about this, and no one responds for over a year until I'm finally mad about something, right? And then now we'll respond to this email in this super cheeky way, like it was somehow a continuation of the conversation that never actually happened, right? Like, here, we're going to ignore you for a year and a half until you annoy us. Now we're going to respond to you. And I hate that. I absolutely hated that was kind of the chain of emails. And it was not represented. It sounded like I had asked, pull my affiliate like a week ago. That's not true. I actually paid my affiliate dues for another year after that because I support CrossFit so much. I was not happy and not thrilled about the change. But then as sanctionals came around, I was like, okay, listen, I'm going to adjust to this. I'm going to focus on the health and wellness stuff. I'm going to see where it goes. But I support CrossFit as an entity. I support CrossFit for what they're trying to accomplish. And I paid my affiliate dues again. I didn't personally cancel it. You always had the option to cancel it. And I chose not to do that. And I think that gets overlooked in the conversation. Like, I stuck with it,
I can agree with that. I can agree with what you're saying there, but let me ask you a couple questions about all of this, because I like the fact that you're having your opportunity to voice your side of the story. I feel oftentimes you're not getting that, or just people in general don't have that opportunity. So everybody listening, I think you're entitled to that. So you are currently still an affiliate. Coach Glassman has sent you that email. despite that email, would you prefer to stay an affiliate?
So the short answer to that is yes. I would prefer to stay an affiliate. Again, and maybe you're asking for an answer. Short answer or long answer? Which one do you want?
Well, give me the short. I mean, because a lot of what I'm hearing, and you're not unique in this, people were certainly upset when they made the change. And I think it's been addressed already that, hey, CrossFit has always been about health, about helping people. And Coach Glassman is probably the first to admit, I've heard him say it, and I believe his speech is going to be out from the affiliate gathering, that the game's kind of spiraled out of control and he's just reeling it back in. And there are people like you that dug it and really were into it. And, I was a box owner of 3 affiliates around the time you're talking about. And yeah, all my members were really pushing, to do more volume. I want to make regionals, etc.
Yep.
However, it wasn't ever my business model. I think, so a few questions I have is, how many members do you have, first of all, about? 150?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have 150 members, realistically, if you had to think about it, how many of them either truly care about competition or should care about competition? Because I think there's a difference there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So at the height of when we were focusing on competitive athletes, out of 150, we probably had 75 or so that had any business thinking about regionals. From a enjoying the training perspective, having a chance to make it or contribute to a team, whatever that might be, 75, I would say, probably had any business thinking about regionals.
That sounds very high to me.
Oh yeah. Again, what we were doing at the time was, largely collecting all of the athletes in the area, in the Kansas City area, that felt like they wanted that next level of training. What we were doing was we were giving them an environment to do that, where we were allowing them to do a lot more with their time spent in the gym. So you're right. I think in a lot of ways that makes us a bit unusual. As far as people who have any business competing.
And you understand what I say. There's a difference being, when I had my boxes, probably 20 people, maybe even more, you would do whatever the latest craze was, be a comp trainer, misfits or whatever. But in reality, 3 of them should have been.
Sure.
Right. So when you say 75, immediately I'm like, all right, 10 of them should have. There's a difference between I enjoy training hard too. I know though deep down I'm not making it to the next level.
Yeah. So we had in 2016, between 2015 and 2016, I want to say in excess of 30 athletes who finished definitely in the top 200 regionally, including our masters athletes. We had 10 athletes who finished in the top 200 worldwide in masters athletes. So a very competitive population, and a lot of people who, had the potential to push those people and, in whatever workout it might be, sort of a Scotty Gillespie sort of story where it's like maybe they don't have the weights, but the cardio was there, and so they're there in the environment to push on the cardio stuff and things like that. So that's kind of where we were. In 2015, we had the 3rd highest scoring team in the world. 2016, if it wasn't for one phenomenal error, we'd have qualified 2 teams for regionals and had athletes who had every right to make it at individuals as well.
Okay, so you're proving you have a very competitive box, but so let's dive a little deeper. So Fern and I recently did an episode and we entitled it "CrossFit Doesn't Owe You Shit," right? And point being, and this is kind of where the conversation happens. You affiliated in 2012, you said, so I assume your affiliate fee is $3,000.
Correct.
So I guess the question becomes, what does CrossFit owe you as a licensee, basically? Like you said, we're not franchises. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking the questions you asked. You're entitled to that. But at the same time, what does HQ actually owe an affiliate as far as how abreast do they need to keep you on the current situation, on changes, on all of those things? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's tough. I think there's two different stances to take on that question. First is the obvious answer, which is they don't owe us shit, right? It's like there's no part of our license agreement that says CrossFit will update you on what things are happening. There's nothing like that. They could come out tomorrow and say we lied about the whole sugar thing, and that they have every right to do that.
Sugar's good for you. Sugar's good for you.
Sugar's good for you. Yeah, if you're not eating a bag of Skittles after your workout, you're an idiot. Whatever. Okay, sure. They really don't owe us anything. They didn't owe us regionals. That wasn't something that they owed us in the slightest. Nor did they owe us advertising. They didn't owe us, being hits on a map, which is, I think, what a lot of people really appreciate about CrossFit is the ability to be found with an identity. They don't owe us maintaining that identity. Honestly, if they came out tomorrow and said, hey, it's all about bodybuilding, they would have the right to do that as well. So they don't owe us that. So that is one perspective. Contractually, absolutely not. On the other hand, I think there is an ethic to CrossFit. There is a belief system, a faith and science-based belief system to it that makes what CrossFit is largely, and this is tough, largely about leadership and identity. And if they came out tomorrow and said we lied about sugar, I wouldn't want to be a part of CrossFit. Do you know what I mean? If they came out tomorrow and said you need to be beating yourself to shit every single day, I wouldn't want to do CrossFit. If they came out tomorrow and Greg Glassman, if Greg Glassman showed up on TV tomorrow and said, I hate gay people and I hate Latinos and I'm excited about, California falling off into the ocean, I'd be like, I can't do CrossFit. This is the guy that I'm supposed to be following and listening to, and he has these beliefs that I can't get behind. Like, I'm out. I'm sorry.
Well, you're not equating getting rid of regionals with hating certain ethnicity groups.
I'm not. What I'm saying is, I feel like there's an ethos behind CrossFit, and I think that there's a message to it, and it's the message that we want to believe. And I think that CrossFit, if there was anything that CrossFit owes us, it is to give us the message, right? Like, don't tell us what to think because we're all fine doing that. But tell us, if you're out there being the leader and the example of what it means to be fit, how we are to best be getting fit, give us direction. Lead us. If you're gonna claim to be a leader, please lead. That I say. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is it comes down to two really important questions to ask you and to ask yourself as an affiliate owner. Is one, did the message truly change, right? And that's a deep discussion. You came on in 2012. My first affiliate opened in 2007. When, I tell this story a lot, when I would watch the games, it wasn't watching the games, it was clicking refresh to see who on an Excel spreadsheet ranks where, did the model really change, or did the games just kind of take priority for a small time? Because, I don't think it was ever about only the elite. It was about the people that want to lose 100 pounds and change their lives. And then my second, in addition to that would be, why can't CrossFit on track, still be a competitive box, even if CrossFit is pushing more towards that health?
Yeah, those are wonderful questions. So when we opened up, we did so. Initially I was working out of a Globo gym, right? I was a personal trainer there. They gave me it was a group fitness class in this tiny little room, no pull-up bars. You know, we had slam balls, no med balls, and those 1-inch barbells. Right, it's hilarious. And this thing online called CrossFit, and it looks badass. I did it a couple of times. I want to go get my level 1 certification, and I want to go
certificate course.
Certificate. Sorry, you're gonna have to forgive me for all kinds of
You probably got that. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
As long as you keep buzzing me, I'll remember. So I took the course. I taught it in this gym, and it wasn't for elite athletes. I made it. I mean, it was a class for everybody, and we just tried the weirdest stuff. I mean, I remember pushing a car around a neighborhood with hills. I mean, chasing it downhill and like nearly getting crushed by it going uphill. And man, we just had a blast. And then the gym owner said, we need you to charge more for this. And we need to make it more and more and more selective, more and more for just the people who can afford it. And I was like, in that moment, I realized I want to be able to reach more people and help more people than the gym was going to allow me to do. It cost $1,200 a month to train with me, which really, it made for a really small population of really wealthy folks. But there was more people that I wanted to help. I had this guy, Kevin Sage. He weighed 600 pounds when I started him, and to this day, he weighs 225 pounds. You know,
awesome, nice job.
And we did that not by being a competitive gym, but by being a community that really cares about fitness and that wants to see the best for their people. And that's how that's how we started. And that's how honestly, that's how we continue today. So CrossFit, it was real easy to get pulled in the direction of the competitive athletes. It's fun. It was exciting, and we did that. And I think, and CrossFit did it too. CrossFit was pulled in that direction. A lot of media, a lot of marketing, a lot of all that kind of typing, which was, all that kind of stuff. I would not say, so to answer your first question, I don't know that CrossFit ever really changed its focus, and that you're right when you say it got drawn into that competitive market or into that competitive pretty hard, right? Doesn't mean that CrossFit ever changed, but kind of where all the attention was going may not have been in the spot that everybody that we wanted it to go, right? I mean, that especially, and I hear this a lot from the folks who came around in 2007, that CrossFit hasn't changed anything. And that's what a lot of the affiliate owners say, some respectfully, some less respectfully, that CrossFit never changed. It's the people like myself who got their priorities all backward or focused on something else. I don't like the idea that it was backwards, because I feel like there was kind of a push for competitive, the sport of CrossFit. And then that's part of what really frustrates me when folks respond to that. They're like, well, you screwed it up the entire time. And I'm like, there was a Pukey the Clown. There was a quote CrossFit.
Yeah, I mean, look at the hat I'm wearing. It says "mess you up."
Mess you up. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you screwed it up. I think, that's the beauty of CrossFit is you have an affiliate. You can be a box that, hey, you can only join here if you have a 500-pound deadlift and a 2-minute Fran. If not, there's another box for you down the road. So I don't think it's a matter of screwing it up. It's a matter of saying, is this the only way? And just because CrossFit has changed, does that mean I don't want to be a part of this anymore? I mean, you can still have a group of people. There's more opportunity than ever to compete right now.
I agree.
Whether it's you want to go to Abu Dhabi for sanctionals, or I'm sure in Kansas City, there's a competition every weekend within 3 hours of you.
And that was part of what was a little bit frustrating in the Kansas City area. There were like a lot of not well-run competitions. And so you'd go and it'd be like terrible judging and silly events and super watered down experiences. You'd have an RX division of like 3 people. And that's what made regionals so much more worthwhile. It was a really well run competition. I mean, the problem with regionals is just so damn good. And now a lot of the sanctionals are really, really good. Like we did Granite Games. I think we're gonna do Wadapalooza. We're gonna do all the ones that I think in the States for sure. I don't love traveling very much, but I'll travel for something that's great. But yeah, so and what was happening in our local scene was not great. To the Kansas City scene, a bunch of folks doubled down on improving the quality of their local competitions, and it's made for I think a much more fulfilling competitive experience in recent history. We went to CrossFit 816. Matt and Sarah Neal run it, and they run one of the best, 4-person competitions I've been to in a long, long time. Great programming, excellent judging. CrossFit Fig. Anyway, the local scene has gotten better, significantly better. But right around 2018, it was kind of like, there's no reason for us to go to these competitions. They're so bad. So
it got a bit saturated, right?
Oh yeah. And so I love the sanctional stuff. And you're right. The opportunity to compete. I mean, at the pro, the RX, whatever the step is down from RX, divisions, you can get so much more of your gym involved in those sanctionals. I think it's wonderful. I think I feel like it could usher in an entire new era of competitive CrossFit. Maybe you're not worried about the pro stuff, but for those 75 athletes that I had, some who could have qualified regionals, some who were pushing towards it, et cetera. Now I have a place where every one of them can fit in. And I mean, Granite Games, we did it just recently. Damn near as an entire gym, we went up there either to compete or to observe, and that was a blast. So the long-term vision for the sanctionals, I think, is great and genius and getting better. Which is really cool. That didn't change how I felt about it in 2018 when we first found out, like, rug pulled, here you go. but now that we're quite a bit further along and that process is evolving, I'm stoked. And I think that you're right. So the second part of your question was, do you think he could still be a box and still be CrossFitting and still be competitive? And I think the answer is yes. I think you absolutely can do those things. The absence of regionals was a bummer for sure. I mean, I look at the leaderboard, and I miss the regional filter. I'm not gonna lie, like that's still sad for me. I find myself in like 400th place worldwide, and I still don't know what that number means. But
it means you're a pretty fit individual.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But I miss the group of guys that I ran in, that I would compete against on the leaderboard and would run into once a year at regionals. I mean, that was really that was fun for me, and I'll miss that forever until something else comes along that replaces that. So, but I do believe you can be a CrossFit gym that has that competitive side. I think for our gym, the direction that we're going with that is, and I spent, since I put that email out, I've had to spend a lot of time just thinking about, okay, what's the identity? What is it we want to do moving forward? We're changing our model for programming up so that we have a greater emphasis on GPP, which I think is good. It's going to take a little bit of adjusting. I got to get people to kind of buy into it now. We're going to turn all of you guys into, competitors to, we're still going to be athletes, but we're not going to worry about your muscle up quite as much. We're going to worry more about your health and your wellness. We're going to make more time for stretching and stuff like that. So I'm going to adjust more of the gym to do that, and then have kind of add-ons built into it that allow you to explore more of your individualized goals. And in those things, I'll probably use, old school, non-traditional methodologies. If somebody wants to put on size in their chest, I'm probably going to put them on a bench press program. No big deal. Or if they want to do competitive CrossFitting, I may have some different WODs for them to do on certain days. If they want to work on their handstand walk, I'll put that in some of their pre-workout kind of stuff. So I think there's a way to adjust into that We're working on that. It's not, and we're gonna have certain days, I think, too, where there's an extra training session for the people who want to be competitive athletes to just come in and do just competition style CrossFit. It's an adjustment.
So here's the reality, for those listening, it sounds to me like you're making the push towards CrossFit Health just like CrossFit is. It's just taking you kind of that moment. And again, to reiterate, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you did. You kind of question what was going on. In retrospect, I'm sure you might read through that email and say, hey, some of this came out as a little bit accusatory or rude. It is what it is. It's always hard to interpret texts and emails. That's why I fight with my wife when I text, right? And I say, let's talk in person. So I think there's always that aspect to it. So, I'm glad to hear that you're doing this. And I truly hope at the end of the day, I don't think Coach Glassman is going to be listening to this episode, but I think if he did, he would say, okay, this is just a loyal affiliate that wanted a little more kind of direction for us. And I think he could appreciate that and say, hey, he is learning, he's making the changes, and I have the ability to be more impactful on my community in Kansas City. So I'm glad to hear that. A question that I have for you that I think a lot of affiliate owners need to consider is basically everything you're talking about is the beauty of an affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at your gym right now, and you got a big ass fan, you got, caution tape for your wall ball targets, you got a pegboard and all this cool stuff going on. If we were a franchise, it would be like, hey, you have to open at this time. Your colors need to be this. Here's your uniform. By the way, this is the programming. So we want kind of the best of both worlds. So, with everything you're saying, it's like you love the fact that we're an affiliate, but you want the direction of a franchise. So where is that? Where does that lie for you?
Yeah, that's a great. I love that question. I love the freedom to. I love the freedom to do whatever it is that I want to do. It puts success or failure in my hands perpetually. The difficulty, the struggle, I think, is with something like regionals when it was, that was a decision that came down from on high, and there was no input, there was no place to put input or etc. That communication is hard to deal with, right? But again, as a licensee versus a franchise, there's no it's the question you asked earlier, what does CrossFit actually owe you? And they don't owe me an explanation, right? But I think that's kind of like that. There's that middle ground where you would like a better explanation, or at least some reconciliation. Like, yeah, you know what? We did that. Just the simple not everybody needs the perfect answer to be told, yes, you're right. But it sometimes it's nice to just be acknowledged. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Yeah, we did that. We got pulled in a direction that was not health and wellness. It was sport. And now we're course correcting. Honestly, if somebody came along and said that, it'd be a lot easier to get on board. Honestly,
and in fairness, I think that message is being put out there now. I know Coach Glassman's speech at the affiliate gathering, the 10-year affiliate gathering in Whistler, like a month ago, is going to be put out at some point on CrossFit.com, and people will have that. And I got to see him speak again at the Trainer Summit, and it was reiterated. I think that message is coming. I think sometimes people underestimate how hard it is to run a business people forget. It's 2019. It was, only 14, 15 years ago when it was one affiliate and a workout thrown on, a subpar website. And, it's hard. CrossFit is still in its infancy, and it's changing the world. And, I can empathize with an affiliate owner in your situation wanting more, but I can also kind of see behind the curtain and realize there's a lot going on. And I think the more patience we have, it will come to fruition in the short time, within a short time. But again, I don't want to beat on a dead horse. I think you're entitled to ask those questions. And again, I hope that things can be rectified for you. What has been the outcome so far at the box level, or from people reaching out? Other than this podcast, you've been featured on a couple podcasts, but What else has gone on at the box? Have you seen any ramifications of it there?
So we still don't have any clarity about, so we got the email from Glassman that said, we're going to pull your affiliate, or at least that's what it sounds like. But that was the last time that we've gotten any communication. So I had emailed him back and said, please, I want more clarification, and I'd like to be able to clarify for you what it is that we're doing in this box. And I suggest let's hold this, decision in abeyance until we can actually communicate with each other. Nothing's back since then. But so I don't know. I mean, about as far as that's concerned, if he's pulling my affiliate, I haven't gotten any paperwork on that. If he was mad and is still mad at me, I don't know. Like you were saying, it's hard to read emotion via message. You can read the message he sent me in a totally like calm demeanor, like, we want to help you, we want to end your affiliate, make sure you're doing the right stuff. You can read it in an angry tone, like, screw you and your face, but so who knows. But we haven't got any official word. We haven't been taken off the website or anything like that. So maybe what's going on is they're letting us run out our contract and revisit it then, or maybe I have no idea. The short answer is I have no idea. As far as my gym is concerned, some good changes have come about as a result. Just in general, we've done much in terms of creating sales, right? We've always just sort of been word of mouth, and that's been fun. But as we started looking up, looking at what's going to happen once people don't find you because you're a CrossFit affiliate, you start raising questions about, do you have a sales funnel, right? That's very, very hip terminology right now. And we don't. So we're sort of revitalizing and revamping what we're doing from a business perspective to make sure that we consistently have business one way or the other. I think that'll actually make us a better business in the long term. I always do this, but we are consistently pulsing our members via surveys and interviews and things like that for, okay, what is it that you really want? What are your goals? So that we're always trying to do that. We're always trying to modify how we program and what we prioritize based on what the people are telling us they really want. Well, I want to lose weight. Here's what we're going to have to do. I want to look good naked. Okay, you're going to have to do. We try to match goals to needs. So we do that the best we can. And as it's just one more opportunity to do that and make sure that we're on the right track for the people that are here. Like I said, like I talked about before, the programming strategy is going to change up just a little bit. It actually, I feel like it actually makes us more in line, like you were saying, with the health and wellness perspective, or that approach. But that's just because we have more people now who need that in particular, and so that's the direction that we're going. And this sort of profits and an idea for making our gym, making some of the training that we offer, especially for certain folks, even more individualized than we had made it before. So it's another opportunity to make a better business than we had before, and still cover all of our bases. Nobody in the gym is concerned about whether or not we're it. Our members, honestly, I don't know that they necessarily care a whole lot. If there's CrossFit in front of the name, or if it's fitness on track, or if it's on track, well, they just care that we're here and we're taking care of them, and they're serving their needs, or they're getting their needs served. The competitors, obviously, are probably the competitors, I would say, are the ones who are most concerned with us not being an affiliate, because they so emotionally attach themselves to CrossFit, which is counterintuitive to the push, right? It's like, but so, psychology is what it's going to be. My direction for the gym, if they let us keep the affiliate, I'll keep paying for it. Again, it sounds crazy in light of all of the exciting drama, but I support CrossFit completely. Like, there are things that are frustrating about it. You love your mom, right? but there are going to be things about your mom that frustrate you from time to time. You're like, Mom, stop like coddling me, or whatever it might be, you know. But you still love your mom and you support your mom. Well, I feel the same way about CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I really do. It's done way more for me than I could have ever asked. You know, so I don't know if you know much about me. A long time ago, I was a researcher in clinical psychology, and we came up with a treatment strategy for depression. Depression is this huge epidemic, right? And we looked at what's going to be the most effective way to intervene for people who are depressed. And we created this treatment strategy called therapeutic lifestyle change for depression. Steve Alardi, look it up. It's amazing. And we implemented some behavioral activation, get outside, changing your diet, start exercising, build a social community around you that is supportive and focuses on goal-oriented activities and praising the accomplishments of your day. And what we found was we had a symptom reduction, a pretty large study, pretty hard to pull off. A symptom reduction, average symptom reduction of about 90%. So average symptom reduction for people who are taking medication is about 34 to 38%. That means you're still mostly depressed, right? We found a symptom reduction of 90% and a response rate that was even higher. And they maintained it for 3 years afterwards. This is before I had ever heard of CrossFit. This was back in 2004, 2005. I'd never heard of CrossFit before in my life. So as we started to build this gym, you know, coming from that perspective, I CrossFit is going to cure depression. That's what's going to happen. Like diabetes, yes. A lot of the health crises, absolutely. But the thing that matters probably the most to me is I believe CrossFit and the community that you built here will cure depression. I myself have dealt with bipolar depression for most of my life. And it is the community, the exercise. Oh, and very interestingly, the most important component, I actually did my master's thesis on this, most important component of that therapeutic lifestyle change was the exercise portion, right? Fascinatingly, if you adhered to the exercise, that predicted that you were going to get better more consistently than anything else, right? And that has been the thing that has kept me healthy for a long, long time. And I don't medicate at all. I'm one of those super lucky people who, like, not quite full on mania, they call it hypomania, but lots of depressive episodes. And it is thanks to the steering CrossFit that I haven't had a single episode of that for, I mean, we're at 10 years. It's insane. Those are better results than anybody has ever had taking medications. So I owe CrossFit a lot. That's what I mean to say. I owe CrossFit a lot. I know a lot of people owe CrossFit a lot. And I think there is an opportunity with CrossFit to not just change the world in terms of our health markers, but in terms of our mental health markers. I think we also have the capacity to change the world. And I want to support that every single day. Okay.
Well,
so
I certainly, I mean, that story is really, you know, amazing. And I hope that people are still listening to this episode and hear that, because it sounds to me like, first of all, I mean, congratulations on that for yourself and for all the people that you've had the, you know, privilege of influencing in there. That's a tremendous, you know, I have my master's in psychology as well. And I think that's really awesome stuff. And, you know, as you're saying that, what it really sounds like is CrossFit Health, right? So, you know, this whole story sounds to me a little bit, you know, and I hate to diminish it and downplay it and kind of ruin a good story, but it's like, hey, this is just a box owner that wanted a little more information, put it out there. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, came at him for the wrong reasons without knowing the truth behind it all. So
isn't that how that works?
that is unfortunately, you know, the world we live in. But I'm really glad that hopefully I gave you a little bit of a platform to came on here, you know, and best hour of their day is all about that. And we really hope it did that for you.
Absolutely, dude. I really appreciate the time.
I don't think there's anything more to really add to that, because I think that was a great way to kind of, you know, end this whole thing. You know, I just hope that everyone listening heard that part of it and realizes, hey, Brian is not this delusional, crazy person that just wants to beat people down with volume and is mad about regionals, but he's someone that actually still cares about, believes in CrossFit, and just had a couple questions. And I hope some of the higher ups at HQ, and I'm sure, people can pass this along to them, hear your story and realize, hey, this isn't a bad dude. This is just someone that's really, trying to help other people and change their lives. Do you have anything else that I can let you add to that?
I don't. If you're not careful, I'll talk for another hour and a half. So
yeah, I'll let you talk a lot, but I think it was important for you to get your story out. Like I said, I listened to a couple other podcasts, was trying to keep up with everything, but I think at the end of the day, hey, you just need a platform to get it out there. That's what this podcast is all about. Like I've said, Fern and I are super pro CrossFit. We care about it. It's part of our lives. We, work for the company. We travel every weekend preaching it. That'll never change. And I think, it's important for us to let other people kind of step up on their box or pedestal, if you will, and talk about it. So
thanks, man. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Well, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope that everything gets rectified. And of course, when it does, we'd love to have you back on and talk about it.
That's awesome. Yeah. You've got we're friends on Facebook now, so you can look me up any old day.
You got it, Brian. Well, I appreciate your time, and we look forward to hearing about you, and keep up the good work over at CrossFit On Track, and keep changing lives.
Thanks, man. Will do.
Improving your life or achieving your goals can sometimes feel like climbing a mountain. On the Tiny Leaps, Big Changes podcast, host Greg Clunas gives practical tips and advice to help you build momentum towards accomplishing the seemingly impossible. Each episode provides research-based strategies or firsthand experiences on topics like mental health, fitness, nutrition, finances, career, and relationships. You can listen to the Tiny Leaps Big Changes podcast on Spotify or wherever else you listen to your favorite podcast. Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, one more time, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast and send us any feedback you have to @besthouroftheirday on Instagram and besthouroftheirday@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email. We appreciate you. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.